Today, I'm going to talk about one of the pillars of Islam, praying 5 times a day. Normally, Muslims should pray a dawn prayer, a noon prayer, a late afternoon prayer, a dusk prayer, and a night prayer. There is an additional optional early morning prayer. These are predominantly accepted on the grounds of hadith, and I will link below to Islamic websites arguing this. But what is interesting is some Muslims only believe the Qur'an. Such Qur'an-onlyist Muslims often pray only 3 times a day because this is all the Qur'an prescribes. They believe the traditional 5 times a day is not found in the Qur'an. This is something I like to discuss with Muslims who say they reject the hadith, as logically one would only pray 3 times a day if you only believe in the Qur'an. The morning prayer and the late prayer are both mentioned in Surah An-Nur, the Surah of Light, where it says, "O you who believe, let your legal slaves and slave girls and those among you who have not come to the age of puberty ask your permission before they come to your presence on 3 occasions, before Fajr, morning prayer, and while you put off your clothes for the noonday, rest, and after the Isha, late night prayer. These 3 times are of privacy to you. Other than these times there is no sin on you or on them to move about, attending, helping you each other." Thus Allah makes clear the ayats, the verses of this Quran, showing proofs for the legal aspects of permissions for visits, etc. to you, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. These ayahs deal with the times when you are supposed to have privacy. It is before the morning prayer, after the evening prayer, and at noon time, and at these times slaves are supposed to ask your permission before entering your presence, but at other times can move around the house doing their assigned tasks. The phrase used here for slave girls is, "those your right hand possess." For more information about these women taken as slaves through war, see the linked video. In the Surah of Hud we find, "and perform as-salat at the 2 ends of the day and in some hours of the night. Verily, the good deeds remove the evil deeds." That is a reminder for the mindful. For the duration of this video, I'm going to skip the sections of the translations in brackets as they are not found in the Arabic. So here we find a clear instruction to pray 3 times a day, the 2 ends of the day, dawn and dusk, and in the hours of the night. That would be Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha prayer times. The Surah of Taha, ayah 130 says, "So bear patiently what they say, and glorify the praises of your Lord before the rising of the sun, and before its setting, and during some of the hours of the night, and at the sides of the day, that you may become pleased with the reward which Allah shall give you." The Musin Khan translation says the sides of the day referred to the noon and afternoon prayer time, but this seems untrue to me. The ayah clearly states the prayer at the rising of the sun, its setting, and some hours of night. Thus the phrase sides of the days seems more like a poetic repetition of the dawn and sunset prayer times. I do not see how the sides of the day could refer to the noon prayer and the late afternoon prayer, as these prayer times are as far from the sides of the day as it is possible to get. So excluding that interpretation, we have the same 3 times mentioned in the Surah of Al-Hud. Possibly the best argument against the 3 times of prayer argument is found in the Surah of Ar-Rum, ayahs 17 and 18. This passage is quoted as one of the clearest passages to support the 5 times of prayer. It says, "So glorify Allah when you come up to the evening, and when you enter the morning, and His is all the praises and thanks in the heavens and the earth, in the afternoon, and when you come up to the time when the day begins to decline." This is one of the key passages which is used to justify the 5 times of prayer practiced in Islam. But here, unlike in the other passages, the word for prayer is not even used. It is at best implied. So whilst one could interpret it as giving 5 times of prayer, it could also be saying one should worship Allah throughout the whole day. It seems strange to ignore 2 passages that clearly state that prayer should be offered 3 times a day for the sake of one passage where prayer is not even mentioned. To get this interpretation, we need the hadith. All of the passages mentioned in this video are found in the Meccan surahs, so it's hard to see any arguments being made for a development of Islamic prayer times, i.e. at first there were 3 times of prayer, but later 2 additional times of prayer were added. There seems little evidence from within the Quran to support this view. I hope this video stimulates some thought about how even some of the most basic parts of Islam are not defined through the Quran, but only through the hadith, and even if the times of prayer were defined in the Quran, the positions of prayer are not, so to complete the obligation, one needs the hadith.